Hello, Upper School. So for those of you who don't know, October was LGBTQ plus History Month, and we, as some of the members of the Upper School GSA, just wanted to teach you guys some of the history. So first, we're just going to really quickly introduce ourselves. I'm Claire. I'm a junior. I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Allie. I'm the other club head. I use
Oh yeah,
she,
I'm a
her
club head.
pronouns, and I'm a senior.
I'm Vanya. I use he, him pronouns. I am a freshman.
I'm Jackson. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a junior.
And I'm Sophie, she, her, and I'm a junior.
Okay, awesome. Next slide, please. Thanks. Okay, so you're probably watching this video in advisory, so we just wanted to go over some important people and events in LGBTQ plus history. It's also probably November when you're watching this, but October is LGBTQ plus History Month every year. So we were hoping to get this out by the end of October, but don't know if that happened. So some of the topics in this presentation might get a little heavy, so if you do need to just mute this or take a moment to process, please do so. And additional information about many, if not all of the people and events presented can be found on flyers in the library or on glisten.org, as well as other websites that are out there. Next slide, please. Thanks. So first, we just wanted to go quickly run through the acronym, just make sure everybody knew what everything means. So the L stands for lesbian, and that is defined as women or non-binary folks who are attracted to other women. The G is defined as gay, men or non-binary folks who are attracted to men. Bisexual for B, that's any person who's attracted to more than one gender. T is transgender, and that is a person who does not identify with their assigned, the gender that they were assigned at birth. And then Q, that can either stand for queer or questioning, depending on the person. Queer, it can be two different things. It can be either people who use a mix of identifiers or people who simply identify as uncishet, which simply just means someone who is, cishet is someone who is both straight and cisgender, which is they identify with the gender they were assigned at birth. So someone who doesn't identify as those but isn't really sure what they are. Questioning is someone who just doesn't really know what they are, and they're just trying to figure things out. And then the plus is just a variety of more specific labels for all sorts of things, sexuality, gender. Some examples of that are asexuality, which is having no sexual attraction to anyone, pansexual, everybody, intersex, and agender, which kind of lend definitions to themselves. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so we're going to start with the L of, so the first person we want to talk about is Sally Ride. She was a graduate of Stanford in 1978, and she's known for being the youngest and the first woman in space. She is a lesbian, so that is pretty cool. After NASA, she became the director of the California Space Institute at the University of California, San Diego. She's also the founder of the Sally Ride Science for Students, which encourages students, specifically girls and non-binary people, to pursue STEM. She passed away in 2012. The second person is Audre Lorde. She's a Black feminist, poet, and civil rights activist. She's most well known for a speech she gave at the 1979 National March on Washington for lesbian and gay rights. In the 80s, along with partner of hers, Barbara Smith, they founded Kitchen Table Women of Color Press, which was an organization to uplift the voices of women of color. Lorde passed away in 1992 when she was 58 years old. And then the third lesbian we wanted to touch on was Angela Davis. She was a Black political activist and author. She was a leader amongst the Black Panther Party in the 60s, and to this day, she continues to work at the intersections of race, gender, class justice. She's still going strong. And she has written 5 books throughout her life on a variety of topics, and she's currently 77 years old. So here we just have pictures of those 3 wonderful women. I'll let Sophie take over.
Sorry. Okay, so now we're moving on to gay history. Gay is also just kind of more of a general term for people who are attracted to their own gender. Just want to put that out there. But for this context, we're just talking about non-binary folks and men.
Sophie cut out. I don't think she could see the screen anymore. I can take over for her for right now. Okay. The first person we have is Bayard Rustin. He was a Quaker civil rights organizer and a colleague of Martin Luther King Jr. He was one of the primary organizers of the March on Washington in 1963. And despite nonviolent efforts, he was arrested multiple times for participating in protests and for being a gay man. He brought the AIDS crisis to the attention of the NAACP in 1987, and that same year he died. There's a photo of him, but we're not done yet. Next we have Harvey Milk. He was the first openly gay elected official on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. In 1978, after only 11 months in office, he was assassinated. During those 11 months, he was able to pass key gay rights ordinances, and in 2009, President Obama awarded Milk the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Finally, we have James Baldwin, a Black novelist, playwright, and activist. He worked to explore race, sexuality, and class distinction in Western society. His works were very controversial when they were published, but the implications were very influential to the civil rights movement, and the works are still loved today. Baldwin passed away in 1987, but he is a very key part in Baltimore culture. Here's Harvey and James Baldwin, and now we will move on to bisexual history with Vanya.
Okay, so in bisexual history, we have a few key figures that you might have heard of before. Frida Kahlo was a Mexican painter and polio survivor, and she was known for her creative work, specifically art with like painting and stuff like that. She was openly bisexual and often wore traditionally masculine clothing. Her art is understood as symbols of her identity, and she died in 1954 at the age of 47. Freddie Mercury was a British Indian singer. He was best known for his time in the band Queen. Mercury openly had relationships with both men and women throughout his career, and he succumbed to AIDS in 1991. David Bowie is a singer and actor known for being eccentric and changing appearance, name multiple times, very fluid in self-expression. He's married with biological kids and a stepdaughter. He was relatively vague with his sexuality, but it's believed, like his self-expression, it was fluid. And next slide. And these are pictures of all of them.
Hello. I will also be doing transgender history because we could not get Sophie back. So we have Marsha P. Johnson, a Black trans woman who was a major influence on the Stonewall riots. She and Rivera, who I will mention later, Sylvia Rivera, established the Sweet Transvestite Action Revolutionaries in 1970. This organization strived to help homeless trans youth in New York City. Unfortunately, Marsha P. Johnson was murdered in 1992. Sylvia Rivera was also involved in Stonewall. She fought to decentralize gay liberation and expand the movement to more people, specifically to transgender individuals. She co-founded STAR with Johnson, and she was known as an underdog and a fighter for the underdogs. She passed away in 2002. We have next Kumahina. Her full name is listed above, but I am not going to do the dishonor of butchering her name. She was a Native Hawaiian teacher and prominent community figure. She founded the Kulia na Mama, an organization within her community to support Mahu Washin, which is a Hawaiian identity similar to trans woman. She is currently working to preserve Native Hawaiian culture within her homeland. And here are photos of all these lovely, lovely ladies. We also have trans men. There's Chaz Bono, who is the son of Sonny and Cher. Chaz transitioned at age 39 after living as a lesbian for about 20 years. He had fame as a kid due to his parentage, but has more recently made a name for himself as an actor. He also became the first trans man to compete on Dancing with the Stars. He is currently 50 years old and thriving, with his mom being one of his biggest supporters. Then we also have Elliot Page. After an Instagram post last year, Elliot Page began to live his life as a trans masculine person. He is known for their performances in Umbrella Academy, Juno, Whip It, and many, many others. I could go on forever listing Elliot Page movies. Since his coming out, they have become a prominent activist for trans rights, especially the rights of transgender youth. And here they both are.
So I will be covering queer history. Some other identities that we discussed before were asexuality, pansexuality, and non-binary identities. And here are some examples of figures from those communities. There's David J. J educates about asexuality and works to destigmatize preconceived notions surrounding it. He is the founder of Asexuality Visibility and Education Network. He promotes both asexual and sexual liberation in his work. We also have Janelle Monáe, openly pansexual singer, rapper, and actor. Monáe has been in films such as Moonlight, Hidden Figures, and Harriet. She's an activist for LGBTQ+ rights and Black justice. They do not identify as non-binary, but she lives her life in a very open and expressive way. And finally, we have Pigeon Pagonis, who is non-binary in both sex and gender. Pagonis is an activist at the front of the fight for intersex anatomy. They educate on intersex surgeries and work to deconstruct myths through articles in a variety of medias. Obama recognized them as the champion of change in 2015. Pagonis is the co-creator of the Intersex Justice Project, an organization striving to help intersex populations, specifically ones of color.
I just want to add real quick before Jackson continues that Pigeon Pagonis is not transgender, and because many non-binary people do identify as transgender because they were born as either male or female, and then there is a third gender recognized in the third sex recognized in the science world, known as intersex, which is in between the two, and it's a little bit of it varies on the person. And Pigeon Pagonis is a very big fighter for intersex autonomy, which many people who are born intersex, their parents will kind of, when they're born, choose to have their child undergo surgeries to make their body and organs represent that of either a male or female. And Pigeon, their parents did this in the female direction, but they have come out and said that they do not identify with that, and they identify with the intersex identity that they were given at birth. And they really fight to let intersex people decide where to go from their identity, with their identity. Sorry. All right, continue.
Here are some photos of those people. We'll also be discussing some notable historical events from queer history. Two examples in the 20th century were the Stonewall riots and the AIDS epidemic. Manhattan's Stonewall Inn was a safe space for the LGBTQ+ community, for LGBTQ+ community members in the 60s, and it continues to be today. It was a nightclub in which one could be themselves. The Stonewall riots began as queer folks began fighting against the arrests on the basis of unfair gender expression laws. Trans women, cross-dressers, and drag queens were commonly apprehended by the police most commonly. On June 28th, 1969, Stonewall patrons, primarily trans women of color, fought for their rights. This act inspired what we know today as the LGBTQ plus movement and is often referred to as the First Pride. And we also have the AIDS epidemic. Due to the willing lack of recognition from President Ronald Reagan, HIV and AIDS were stigmatized as a disease only gay men could contract. For years, there was no research, so getting the disease was basically a death sentence, and some extreme homophobes saw AIDS as God's way of expelling homosexuality. As more people, both gay and straight, contracted the disease, sympathy for the affected grew, and people understood the seriousness. Elizabeth Taylor was a prominent activist for AIDS justice after her actor Rick Hudson died of the disease. The AIDS Memorial quilt is a powerful art symbol telling stories of AIDS victims.
So a few more historical events. Marriage equality is a big thing in the LGBTQ plus movement. After a long, hard fight, same-sex marriage was finally legalized in all 50 states in 2015. But until then, the states had varying laws from fully illegal marriage to civil unions to fully legal marriage. It kind of went back and forth for a long time. Today, out of the 195 recognized countries, only 30 have full marriage equality. There's still a long way to go in order for all people to marry who they love. And with the Black Lives Matter movement, in 2013, Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, and Opal Tometi founded the hashtag Black Lives Matter campaign. All three are Black queer radicals fighting for racial equality in the justice system. Hashtag Black Lives Matter works to uplift Black voices and build a world in which Black folks feel safe and respected. Their main goal today is to get justice for all those in their community disproportionately affected by police violence.
Yeah, so next we just wanted to mention a few flags because I'm sure all of you have seen different flags for the LGBTQ plus community. So the first flag is the LGBTQ plus flag or the gay flag. It was created by Gilbert Baker after he was inspired by Harvey Milk, who we mentioned earlier. And he was inspired by Harvey Milk to make a symbol for the gay community. He saw the rainbow as a natural flag from the sky. So the colors to him meant that, the hot pink on the flag stands for sex, the red is for life, orange for healing, yellow for sunlight, green for nature, turquoise for art, indigo for harmony, and violet for spirit. And he once said, our job as gay people was to come out, to be visible, to live the truth, as I say, to get out of the lie. A flag really fit that mission because that's a way of proclaiming your visibility or saying, this is who I am. So I think that is a really interesting story behind that one. The next one is the lesbian flag. Originally, there was an all pink version of this flag, and that was known as the lipstick lesbian flag. It was met with backlash as it promoted femininity for all lesbians, and many lesbians don't identify with fully feminine identities. So it was later changed to what is now known as the sunset lesbian flag, which does include shades of orange. Lesbian flag also has meanings to its colors, and those are from top to bottom. The dark orange represents gender nonconformity, orange represents independence, community for light orange, unique relationships to womanhood is the white, serenity and peace is the pink, love and sex is the dusty pink, and femininity is the dark rose. So, the next one is the bisexual flag, which was designed by Michael Page in 1989. The flag was created to increase bisexual visibility in both the community and just in general. The pink of the flag represents attraction to women, the blue attraction to men, and the purple is an overlapping of the two, or attraction to non-binary folks, other gender identities. The transgender flag is the last one we're going to touch on. This was designed by a trans woman named Monica Helms in 1999. The flag is meant to show the intersectionality between sex and one's gender, which sex is what is defined as either male or female, or in some cases intersex, and that is what scientists define. Gender is more about how you feel and the mental aspect that goes into it. So the flag was, the flag uses traditional gendered colors, as in pink and blue, and it's built to be symmetrical so that no matter which way the flag is flying, it is correct. And then on the next slide, you can see those flags that I mentioned. Yes, so that is all we have. I will let Allie wrap us up. Oh yes, sorry. Visit that website. That's just a link, but I'm happy to send the link to anyone if you're interested. Let me know. This website has tons of information on those flags as well as many of the other ones, because there are a ton of flags, and all of them have different meanings and different levels of meaning to different people. So.
All right, that wraps up our presentation. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions or concerns or just need to talk to someone, you can reach out to Claire or me. You could also, if you want, hunt down that old Discord invite, although I'm sure it's expired by now, and join our friendly little GSA Discord for a community of people who will listen to you. Also, if you haven't had a chance yet, we have longer bios for all of the people, most of the people mentioned in today's presentation in the library, as well as some extras. There's a plethora of LGBTQ plus history because gay people have always been around, as much as people don't like to admit it. So let us know if you would like to learn more. And if you're interested in coming to a GSA meeting, we try to meet as much as we can on the Wednesday community days. Sometimes it doesn't always happen, and sometimes it does. So just sign up when you see that chance to do so. All right, folks. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Bye, everyone.